Founder, designer, and the woman who literally turned a capsule wardrobe into a full fashion movement, Liv Coleman. Welcome to Let's Be Frank.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honour.
I am so excited to have you here. You've built something way beyond clothes with All Things Golden. It feels thoughtful, lived in, and from my personal experience, very, very addictive. I've spent lots of money on All Things Golden and I love every single one of my pieces. We're going to get into how you got to today, the highs, the lows, the chaos, and most importantly, your personal side of it, because we want to get to know the creative behind the capsules. So I want to go back to the beginning and get into how you got here. You've said that you inherited your creative and business mind from both of your parents. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you grew up, and was business just a part of your life from a young age?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. So my dad is an engineer, but he owns his own business. And my mum is also, or was, an interior designer by trade and owns her own business as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was maybe always inevitable. I grew up with two brothers, which was fun.
Yeah.
And I've always been, I think equal parts creative, equal parts strategic. And I do, definitely thank both of my parents for that. They're both really creative in their own way.
Yeah, both very creative careers as well.
But that strategic and creative brain can actually be tormenting at times.
And clashing.
But it, has been incredible for me. It means that when I decided I wanted to start my own business, I could do everything. So I was designing everything, every operational part. And when you don't have any money to give away in salaries and things like that,
definitely,
I guess, that worked in my favor. And later down the track, kind of not in my favor, because then you have to get ready to hand things off.
Yeah.
You do everything at one point in time.
Yeah.
Yep. But I always loved design. I have artists in my family as well. Both grandparents on both sides actually were artists. And I actually recently found out that I was doing a bit of research into my heritage, and we have a Lebanese background, and they were some of the first Lebanese immigrants into Australia.
Really? Wow.
And they actually had eventually the biggest clothing manufacturing hub in Australia. Actually, the Southern Hemisphere.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, it's wild. And to the point that they I think they were around for like 80 years. They made their way through the war. They ended up being commissioned to make the uniforms for the war.
Wow.
They donated all of the proceeds of that back into the community. And it wasn't until I was interviewing recently for a more senior role in my business where the woman just said, I think fashion is either in your blood or it's not. And apparently it was.
It definitely was.
I didn't know that until
all of those backgrounds coming into play in your business.
Recently.
Do you remember the first time you really took a notice or started to care about style or aesthetics, even if it wasn't to do with clothing?
Yeah, it definitely didn't start with clothing. So as I mentioned, my mum was an interior designer. Yeah. So I grew up surrounded by beautiful environments. Yeah. She really knew how to create that. She has an incredible eye for that kind of stuff. And I think style in general transcends just what you wear. So I was really lucky and grew up in a beautiful home, and I actually studied graphic design originally. That's how I wanted to translate my creative abilities. I loved graphic design. I studied VisCom, but I also loved clothes. Yeah. So I was like, how do I merge these two? I knew nothing about garment construction. I didn't know how to make clothes, but I worked in fashion. I worked for a boutique clothing store where we stocked lots of different brands from around the world. And during that, I identified this huge gap in the market for great quality basics at, a digestible price point.
Definitely.
There was really cheap and nasty stuff, or there was really expensive stuff. And all of these brands as well, they had the traditional seasonal calendar. So they would come in for a season and then they would be gone. So finally you'd wait and you'd be like, oh my God, a great basic. I love that, buy it. And then it would be gone.
Yeah.
And I didn't really believe in that. I am all about timeless design, and I really wanted to create something that was classic and timeless and that was available, for longer than 3 months.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and now some of our bestsellers are still from day one, so 9 years later. But it was definitely not fashion to begin with. I still love interiors. I still love graphic design. I love, anything to do with design. I love music.
It all comes into one.
It does, yeah. And that's really made our brand what it is, and what you said, it's not just clothing, it's so much more than that. It's a complete lifestyle.
What was your relationship like with style and clothing growing up as a teenager? Did you always have this capsule wardrobe mindset, or was there some questionable outfits along the way that you look back on?
Oh, there definitely would have been some questionable outfits. It's funny you ask that, because I didn't even know what a capsule wardrobe was.
Yeah.
I believed in this. It was just fundamentally what I believed in. And now it's obviously quite a big buzzword.
Yes.
But it kind of came from, funnily enough, a hate for getting dressed. So I have a really busy brain. My brain is ticking all the time. I want to wake up and get dressed and feel good without having to think too hard or try too hard.
Over your wardrobe.
Correct.
I'm the exact same.
And I also don't like waste. Like, I'm a bit of a minimalist, and that is in our design principles as well. It's, through graphic design and interiors and everything like that. I like to find the best of something. So it's all about less but better. And I guess that slowly evolved into design and clothes and what is All Things Golden today.
Yeah. Looking back, I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but do you see signs of All Things Golden throughout your childhood and growing up, and in your personalities and interests as a preteen and a teen and a young adult?
Definitely. I think All Things Golden is me.
Yes.
It is such an expression of myself, my interests, my values, and it has evolved with me over the years too. The business is turning 10 next year, which is wild. So I started it when I was 24. So a much less evolved version of myself then. Definitely. It was in everything. I always was allergic to colour. Like, there was never any blues and greens and reds. I just wanted to make things simple so that I could concentrate on just getting out there and being my best self. I didn't have to worry about what I was wearing, but I knew that when I got dressed, I could walk out with ease and know that I didn't have to worry like, oh, that's uncomfortable, or that fabric feels itchy, or that doesn't fit quite right. I don't feel good in my body. These are all things that I cared about when getting dressed, even from a young age. And I also found, when you speak about family, this great-grandfather was an artist. I discovered one of his books recently, and the book is matte black leather with a gold embossed logo on the top.
Yeah.
I also had no idea about that, and my brand is obviously
matte black.
All Things Gold and matte black. So there must be some sort of genetic universal design principle in my family. So
That's so interesting, and I think such a cool backstory that not many people would know about you and your brand, and I'm so glad that we've spoken about it and touched on it, because All Things Golden does have such a strong visual identity. You can tell an All Things Golden piece from a mile away, whether it be the bralettes or the bodysuits or the new knit. You can really tell when it's an All Things Golden piece. So I think it going back in your DNA is really interesting, the style evolution. I want to touch on a little bit more of your personal style and your growth, because it really all does connect to All Things Golden. Like you said, it's your lifestyle and your style, and you're designing for yourself. So if you had to describe your current style, what it's at right now, winter 2025, in 3 words, what would you say?
Oh, 3 words. I think it is effortless is a big one.
Yeah.
So it's that feeling great without feeling like you're trying too hard. There's a little bit of edge, I would say, in there. The brand is basic, but it's not boring basic.
No.
There's definitely an attention to detail that gives it that little bit of edge. And I would say elevated. So 3 E's in the end, that's fun. Yeah, elevated in that it's timeless. The quality, you can see it. It's just you can see the textures in the fabric. Yeah. It's not just something that you got, I don't want to bag out any other brands, but like a fast fashion brand or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. You said that you didn't really know what a capsule wardrobe really was, but you always felt it, and you always that's what you were going for without knowing. Do you remember when you first really shifted towards understanding capsule wardrobe dressing and slow fashion, and was there a trigger moment where you made a conscious decision that this is what I believe in and this is what I want to be doing?
I actually recently found the business plan that I wrote for All Things Golden. I was setting up my new office at home and I wrote it in 2015. Wow, so before I actually launched the brand. And I read the brand mission statement. I'll have to post it on our Instagram or something. It's exactly the same. It just doesn't have the words capsule
so
wardrobe.
Rare as well.
Yeah. So I very much understood the values and the principles of what a capsule wardrobe is. And that's always what I set out to do. I just didn't know that was like
just wording for
it. The way to call it. But I guess I always wanted to be a one-stop shop. So when I identified that gap, it was also I knew all my favorite brands because I'm the type of person that likes to do the research. I like to look at everything. I'd be like, cool, I'll go there for activewear. I'll go there for underwear. I'll go there for basics. I'll go there for a dress. I really wanted to create almost a one-stop shop. And I guess that's where a capsule wardrobe comes from. Yep. It's the base of your wardrobe and it's versatile. So you can dress it up or down. It's trans-seasonal. You can layer and you can make multiple outfits from fewer items. And that plays back into that idea of mental overload. If you can walk into your wardrobe and create multiple different outfits from a small collection of clothing, you just don't have to worry. But you also don't end up outfit repeating. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Love an outfit repeat.
Love outfit repeating.
It's, there's just endless versatility.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I've struggled with trying to find because obviously all over social media now is have a capsule wardrobe, but there's not much on what that actually means. When I think of a capsule wardrobe, my first thing that comes to my mind is very plain pieces. How can I make multiple outfits out of this? And I think that's one thing that All Things Golden is doing really well is that they are capsule wardrobe pieces, but they're also interesting because when I do go for a capsule wardrobe, I get kind of bored. So I think there has to be a good balance. And the way All Things Golden is designing and producing, I really love. When you are designing for All Things Golden, are you designing for obviously yourself and stuff you would want to wear, keeping that in mind, but also do you ever design maybe something that you wouldn't necessarily buy or grab, but you know your community will love?
Yeah, that's a tricky one because as I mentioned, ATG has been such a personal expression of myself. It's been a challenge for me from the beginning.
It would be so
honestly,
easy to get caught up with what you want.
I'm going to design stuff that I want to wear and how cool I get to just make a business out of that. Yeah. Amazing. And I think I heard someone speak recently in an event where they said one of the best, to be a great designer, you need to be able to design for other people. So that is a challenge. I do absolutely try and design, though, for different body shapes because there is not one universal body shape. And every time I design something, it's a considered new design that will fit in seamlessly with the existing ATG wardrobe too. There's not usually one piece that doesn't go with something else. So that's something that I try and do. And yes, it is my challenge to continue to design things that not just I would wear because I'm getting older too. So, does your brand evolve with you or do you continue to design for a younger demographic? But I don't think the ATG is bound by age. Yeah. It's really a style and you can translate it into and make it your own. Yeah.
Like I touched on, quiet luxury and capsule wardrobe is quite big now on TikTok and Instagram. It's a really popular saying and word, but ATG has always been about the understated quality and quantity over quality. I mean, quality over quantity. Yeah. How do you stay rooted in the real purpose behind ATG and what you believe in? And like I said, not allowing ATG to just become a capsule wardrobe where it is just very plain basics because that's what social media is saying.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge because everything moves so quickly now on social media and there's a lot of pressure to stay up to date with trends.
Yep.
And you would have seen a lot of brands that have stood the test of time. Sometimes they stay exactly the same and they grow with their customer base and they continue to design for that same customer over the lifespan of their brand, or others choose to evolve and rebrand. Take PE Nation, for example. They recently did a full rebrand because they wanted to garner a younger demographic. I am trying to find the balance.
Yeah, happy middle.
Yeah, but like I said, it's so universal, the style, And I love that like mums and daughters come and shop with us. And my mum and I dress really similarly too. So maybe that's where that came from too. And we switch clothes all the time. Yeah. And I don't want anyone to ever approach our brand and say like, oh, I'm too old or I'm too young for that. Like it really is for everybody. But I do have to be careful not to listen to the noise of trends.
Yeah.
Or
it's so easy to get caught up.
Yeah, it's noisy. Social media is noisy. It's amazing, but it is noisy. And you just have to, stay true to what you believe in. And if you are going to design something around a trend, we will do that, and maybe we'll do it in a limited edition capsule, but we'll make it classic. So we'll pull it back.
How do you make it your own?
Yeah, and make it timeless so that it's not just in for one season. I would hate to design something that was just in and out because –
and then you look back on it and you go, there wasn't us.
No, yeah. I definitely once upon a time got lost. We were looking through samples the other day and I found a range of orange stuff and I was like, what the hell was going on? Yeah, I must have been, maybe not feeling like grounded and rooted in myself. Yeah. And as a leader, you have to, always ground yourself back in your purpose and your values and continue to push forward.
It's easy to get lost.
Yeah.
Let's get into the birth of All Things Golden and where you started and how you got to where you are today. You started at 23 with $20,000. You were working part-time. You moved back home with your parents' support. Where did that belief come from? And in those moments, were you feeling kind of reckless or stressed about where this was going to be going?
There's a lot of things in my life that I have questioned, almost everything in my life. And this is the one thing that I've never questioned, which is really amazing because I know that a lot of people are still trying to figure out what they want to do. So I feel really, really grateful for that. I finished school. I did go to uni. I went and studied a double degree of business and graphic design. Yep. I just wanted to move faster than that. It was too slow. I left. I ended up going traveling, which is one of the best things you can ever do for a growing mind. I got home. I got a job at a boutique shop where we were stocking all the best brands from Australia and the US. And when I identified that gap in the market, I was like, I want to start my own label.
You need to do something.
Yeah, I just have to. So I never felt any fear. I was really lucky in the fact that my mum and stepdad let me move back home. I can't imagine starting a brand now. I was also at the right age where that didn't feel like a huge sacrifice. I was only 23. I was able to work and reinvest every dollar that I was making back into the business. I kept working even once I'd launched the business. So it wasn't –
because starting a business even with $20,000 is – really, really pushing
it. It's nothing. Yeah, I had 10 grand of my own and then my dad said, I'll lend you 10 grand but write me a business plan. So I went and did a 9-month course and wrote my business plan. That's where that came from. Yeah. And I paid him back in the first 6 months. So I was pretty stoked about that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but I didn't pay myself for a good year and a half. So first year and a half, I reinvested every dollar back into the business. I worked until we were making enough that I could afford to go into it full time. And that's when things really shifted.
Yeah. Talk us through the very beginning, the original mood boards, the Pinterest scrolls you were doing. What was the original vision for ATG and did it look very different from how it turned out?
Well, you can probably go back because I started the All Things Golden Instagram page kind of as like a style blog.
Yeah.
So that's how it began.
A lot of incredible businesses have started that way and I've spoken to a lot of other business owners who have done that and they've created such a great community by doing that.
Yeah, that was back when Instagram was easy to grow organically for free. It was, back in the day. But you can go back and have a look and I think it's really similar. Yeah. It's more early 2000s.
For the time.
Yeah, that was how I did it. I was posting interiors, fashion, art. I was doing like a little bit of content creation myself, sharing the things that I had found and loved. And then once I started evolving the brand, that's when I started, sharing the journey and the experience with the small but engaged community at that time that I had built already.
Yeah. Where did the name All Things Golden come from and what did it mean to you when you thought of it?
Yeah, naming a business is so hard because you're like, stressful. I want a business and I'm ready to go. And everything's riding on this name. And you can't go forward until you've done the name because you've got to buy the domain, you've got to register the business.
You can't make a website, you can't do anything.
Yeah,
can't get the Instagram handle.
Yeah. I remember really vividly actually deciding on the name. I loved gold as a metal, you know, jewelry, whatever. And one day All Things Golden came to mind and I'm like, oh, that has a really good ring to it. And I had to be like, you can't get too hung up on this because otherwise you won't move forward. And I later started unpacking exactly what it meant and I'm so happy with the name. Like it just fits everything so beautifully. Basically, gold is seen of value and all things of value. So they're the items in your wardrobe that you love the most, that maybe you even buy it more than once and when it dies, you're really sad. But with ATG, hopefully if there's something you really love, you might even have the opportunity to buy it again.
Repurchase,
Yeah.
Take me back to your first sample. What did it look like? What was the vision? Was it successful? Did you end up producing it? Take us through all of those steps.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I don't have a background in garment design. I was pretty comfortable with giving everything a go, but I didn't know I knew I loved clothing, I loved textiles. I know how a garment should fit, but I didn't know anything about the technical construction of a garment.
It.
No, so I very first began with a woman, she was a consultant, and I had no idea, really young, first experience at this. I sent off my tech packs that I got someone else to help me put together. I sent it to this factory and they came back and it took like 3-4 months. So the anticipation, the build up, none of them were great. And I was instantly like, I can't do this. I'm just not built for this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a complete failure. Now I realize, looking back, we sample things like 5, 6, 7 times if we have to. And I was expecting every sample my first round to be perfect. But I do remember the first samples. One of them we still sell now. It's our low back dress. So it was a range of semi-loose fitting, low scoop neck basics. And we eventually got them right and they were some of our best sellers for years.
And how cool that you still sell them now. It's one of your first designs.
It was the business's our last birthday, and my team put together a really beautiful card and our first order was that dress. And it's still one of our top 3 bestsellers now.
Wow.
Yeah. It's so
That's
simple.
Incredible.
It's just a simple silhouette in a beautiful fabric.
I love that you were, like you said, learning on the go. You didn't know how to put together a tech pack. You didn't know that it was one sample and it wasn't going to be perfect. What was the biggest learning curve you think happened during those first 6 to 12 months of All Things Golden?
Gosh, it was a while ago. There was a lot of learning. As you said, you learn everything. And I'm also really grateful for that, because when you have worked in an industry for a while, you are sort of conditioned to believe the ways that you've been taught. Whereas when you begin something yourself, you're just
figuring it out as you
intuitively.
go.
And that's really cool. It's almost like being a first-time mum. Like you don't look up everything on Google. We didn't have ChatGPT then. That would have been helpful. You just figure it out. And entrepreneurs are usually really good problem solvers, and I love solving problems. So I can't identify anything. I think
probably just learning everything.
Yeah, I think so. Just managing, having to wear all the hats probably.
Was there a moment, I mean, you said about that dress, must be such a proud moment. It was your first item to be purchased, and it's still one of your top 3 bestsellers. But can you think back and remember a moment where you either had a sellout drop or a message from a customer that was one of the first standout, wow, this is really amazing what I'm doing moments?
Yeah, there's been so many. I mean, Dua Lipa posted wearing one of our bodysuits last week, so that's pretty cool.
That's so exciting.
However, as cool as it is seeing a celebrity and someone as amazing as Dua Lipa in your clothes, I genuinely get just as excited when we get really heartwarming reviews from our community. We recently got a handwritten letter from a customer thanking us because she believes that her marriage is because of our clothing.
Really?
She bought one of our dresses and wore it on the first date with her partner, and now they're married. So she wrote us a handwritten note.
That's crazy.
And we honestly get stuff like that all the time. And I think women often find our brand and they just relate to the difficulties and the stress around getting dressed, and they're just so grateful to have found something that really takes the stress out of it for them. So honestly, every amazing and thoughtful review from our community, and we get lots of them, we still send them in our team group chat whenever they come through. There's that. And then I think memories that stand out the most to me almost transcend the business performance, probably growing a team. We have a predominantly female team of 25 now, and I didn't ever think that that would be possible, and challenging myself as a leader and being the person responsible for the place that they spend like 85% of their life. I am trying my best to really sit in gratitude and, praise for myself in how big of a feat that's been.
And it's such a hard thing to do, but when you get to sit back and really think about it and see the team of 25 working away to all with one same goal is really a very proud moment, and you should be proud because it is incredible.
Thank you. And they're passionate about the brand, but it's also just creating a place that they love coming to every day. That means so much to me.
After that first initial chapter of building ATG, solo, designing, packing, dealing with the business side of things, doing the emails, obviously there comes a point where there's the shift. You have to bring someone else on, hand over that piece of control. Do you remember the moment where you realized that you needed help? What was that like? And how did you go about handing over a piece of control?
Yeah, very, very hard for a control freak perfectionist for sure. But there comes a time where you physically can't go on any longer. That for me was probably about a year and a half ago. I would say myself and my team had built this incredible business, like I mentioned, so much bigger than I had ever imagined. I was still designing everything, doing all the creative direction, and also managing a team at that time, I think of still around 20 people. Yeah. I look back now and I'm like, how the hell did I do it? And I wasn't coping, that's for sure. I definitely danced with burnout regularly. Yeah. And I think a really big part of it as well is, well, for me anyway, in my story was I didn't know how to receive that kind of help. My team was relatively young and junior, and I'd worked with a lot of them and mentored them, and we'd grown the business together. But at this point in time, I knew I needed someone with experience and that was potentially older than me, definitely more experienced than me. Yeah. Well, I've been running my own business for, 8 years. Sure, I'm experienced, but that was my first, I'd never had a full-time job. I was literally just making everything up as I went. Yeah. But for some reason, that was really hard for me. I really struggled even just with the process. I'd written the position description of this dream person that I needed, and I couldn't put it out there. I don't know why. I think it was like you just kind of get used to torturing yourself. And it's like, I don't deserve this kind of help. I don't know. It was challenging. I have dived into a lot of really deep self-development and work around that. But as soon as I took myself out of the business, I went away for a few days. And I was like, this is all I'm focusing on. Who is this person? I need to put the position description and the job ad out there. I need to not be afraid. I think it was a lot of imposter syndrome probably. Yeah. And those first phone calls with these people applying, I think I had the general manager of Cotton On at one stage apply, and I was just like, what the hell? I don't even really know what I'm doing. I'm just making it up. Yeah. But I really had to stop and believe in myself. And ultimately, once I came to terms with that, it took a little bit, the perfect person presented themselves. And after that first big hire, it became a lot easier. And now I have multiple people in the business that are older than me, more experienced than me. And I definitely couldn't do it without them. If I wanted to grow the business, I had to grow as a person basically. Yeah.
Do you remember your first hire? When was it? What position was it for? And what was that experience like? Because I can imagine owning a business, getting to the point and the scale of actually needing someone else there to help you would be pretty exciting.
Yep. Well, my first hire was actually my little brother's girlfriend. Yeah. Because I got home and I was like, oh man, I really can't be bothered packing orders anymore. This is just getting old. And she was like, I'll do it. I was like, great. She was working at Coles at the time. She was like, it is awful there. I am keen to get out. So she came and started packing orders for me. She still works for us today.
Wow.
Yeah, she's actually pretty much managing our warehouse. So that's really, really cool. But just after her as well, my first full-time employee, is a beautiful person called Casey Lee. She also still works with me now. So she's been working with the business for 7 years, which is crazy. And I hired her as like a general marketing assistant coordinator at that time. I actually found her old PD recently. It pretty much had everything in there.
Yeah.
And she was a content creator, and I had put a call out on our Instagram saying, I want to shoot some content. Is there anyone that's interested? She inboxed me and said, I love your brand. Can we please shoot together? So she came, we shot together, and we got along so well. And she was living in another state at the time. And I said, I'm actually thinking about hiring my first employee. I'm really nervous about it, but have you ever thought about anything like this? She's like, that's so weird. I've met a guy back in Melbourne. I'm thinking about moving home. I'm not sure. We went our separate ways, didn't think too much of it. And that night we bumped into each other at the same restaurant for dinner.
It was meant to be.
And we were like, whoa, this is too weird. So she actually moved states back to Melbourne and started working with me, and we still work together today.
Wow. And I think that's such a testament for long-standing work relationships, personal relationships. It really just shows the brand environment and the workplace you've created and your co-workers have created, and the passion that surrounds this business as well. I want to talk about Luxe Rib because it's so iconic. It has become such a signature part of your brand. People are paying international prices to get it shipped overseas. What made you want to invest in your custom fabric, and did you expect it to blow up the way it did?
Yeah, well, it wasn't actually a very good financial decision because it's such a huge investment to make your own fabric. But the reason that it happened was I genuinely believe in the quality of clothing, and we had a Luxe Rib, without making our own fabric collection already, and it was selling really, really well. But the problem was every roll of fabric when you buy from stock markets can be a little bit different, and we didn't have customers complaining about it, but I couldn't deal with that. I needed the fabric to be the same. I wanted our community to know that when they purchased a new Luxe Rib item from us, even if it was 6 months apart or part of a new capsule collection, that it would be the same. Yeah. So
and
that's for me, for my perfectionism too, obviously. I wanted to make sure it was the same. So we started looking into that, and essentially, you can design your own fabric, but there is a really high minimum order for the meters of fabric. And this was quite a while ago. So I think the financial investment at that point in time was maybe $40,000 US. Wow.
Huge.
The biggest, I started my business on 20 grand. So one of the biggest financial decisions I've ever made in my life. But for me, it wasn't a question as to whether or not I wanted to do it. I needed our basics to be amazing every single time.
Yeah. And it goes back to the morals behind the brand as well.
Exactly.
We've said time and time again, have built such a loyal community and engaged community. People don't just buy once. They build their wardrobe with you, me personally as well, and your whole community. What do you think keeps people coming back time and time again?
Well, I would probably say the quality and the experience, I guess. So we really care about our community. They come first always. And that story about Luxe Rib speaks to that. People don't come back if they're not happy with the fit and the quality. People are really quick to write you off. Our returning customer rate, which is basically the percentage of people who buy today that are a returning customer, is always around 50%. So every single day, half of the orders coming through are people that have bought from us before. Yeah. That's really, really high. And when we launch new capsules, our existing community just buys into that. Yeah. And we offer amazing customer service or customer experience. We want them to feel like they're a part of our business because they are. Without them, we wouldn't exist. No business. Yeah. So customer experience is really important to us.
Yeah. I think that's so special and such an important part of business these days is having that community, because there are so many clothing companies out there that people can choose from. So having a community that continuously comes back is really cool. Yeah. And special. Looking back at all things golden over the years, what has surprised you the most over the years running this business? And did you see it ever scaling to the point it is at now?
No, I didn't. I never knew that it would be like it was. As I mentioned, I always felt like I was in the right place. I was where I was meant to be. but it has been an enormous growing experience for me personally.
Starting with your brother's girlfriend as your employee to now having 25.
Yeah.
Gone through multiple warehouses, have had now nearly 2 stores. The next one's almost ready. And I can imagine that you could never even imagine that for yourself.
Some people do. I originally, our very first commercial space was at a co-working space. Yeah. And so we were sharing walls. We had these little 35 square metre units. We were sharing walls with other e-commerce brands, startups.
Yeah.
And for example, my next door neighbour was Hayley from the Sheet Society, and we became really close there. We started our brands at the same time. We were like, cool, let's figure everything out together. And she always knew that she wanted this big business, and she knew that there was this huge gap in the market for sheets. So she knew that, and she is the most incredible business person I've ever met. She's been an insane mentor and friend to me. But I didn't have that. I didn't really necessarily want that. I don't necessarily still want that. I want our products to be accessible worldwide because I genuinely believe that people deserve to have them worldwide.
Yeah.
But I've always been about sustainable growth. I don't want or need to push myself or my team to the nths for financial means. It's really been about enjoying the process, really, enjoying my business, growing at a rate that feels like safe and comfortable for me, and growing enough to, maintain this beautiful business and home that we've all kind of built together.
Yeah. I just touched on the fact that you've had, and you just touched on as well, multiple working spaces, and you've gone through warehouses. You started in co-working. And now I want to touch on your new flagship that you're opening, which is so exciting. You've said it's more than just a store. It's going to be a community hub, an experience. So I want to get into what that actually means for All Things Golden. So what was the original vision behind the flagship? How does it tie into All Things Golden, bigger purpose? And what was the reason behind creating this amazing space?
Well, I've always been really passionate about the physical experience. So we currently have a concept store attached to our head office, which is amazing. And when we first started that, it was really about the experience. So yes, it was a place for people to come and purchase, but ultimately it was somewhere for our community to come and experience our brand values in real life.
Yeah.
So the fit out is beautiful. It smells amazing. The music's cool. The girls that help you in store are super friendly. They treat you like you're shopping with your best friend.
Yeah.
And then you get to translate that and shop online if you wish. So we have already been living out this dream there for the last 5 years, but we have outgrown that space. And as I have evolved and as the brand has evolved, one of the things that has been a big part of my life over the last few years is around personal development. So not just professional development, but very much personal development. And I'm extremely passionate about health and wellness. And I have tried to figure out, how do I combine my two worlds? I'm also really passionate about empowering females, both on a personal and professional level. And I do that, I think, just internally with my business and supporting my team. But I wanted to translate that to our wider community. So you may or may not have noticed on our page we share empowering quotes and things like that, and people absolutely eat them up, as do I. I love reading them. Sometimes I write my own.
It's nice to see when you first open your Instagram feed a quote to get you going for the day.
I know. Someone once said to me that like people who post quotes are psychos or something, and I was like, nah, give me a quote any day of the week. I love it. I love it. I love them.
Especially if they pop up at the right time.
Exactly. And usually they do. Like they'll either speak to you or they won't. But they have very much been centered around my personal journey. So when I've been feeling or going through something, there's usually a quote on our feed that resonates with me at that point in my life. So the community space really was about trying to merge all of those loves. And I believe that getting dressed kind of in a weird and roundabout way is part of your wellness routine because it's part of your morning ritual. It sets the tone for the day. If you get up and you don't feel good in what you wear, it can, ruin your headspace for the rest of the day.
Definitely.
So when you talk about your ritual and your daily wellness routine, there's that. You get dressed, but there's movement, there's breath, there's mindset is so big. So this new space is still and probably an elevated version of our current retail experience with the addition of a wellness area. So we are building a multi-purpose space for classes. We'll be running breathwork,
Wow.
Pilates, sound healing, and we also will be having treatment rooms as well. So we'll have amazing practitioners on residency within our space. So whether or not that's remedial massage, lymphatic drainage, energy healing, naturopathy, herbalists, you name it.
Get me booked in. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
This sounds so exciting.
Yeah. And I just want to use our platform as well to help educate. I've been through a lot personally with my health as well. And I would say that that's probably related, a lot of it, to being a busy brained, high functioning female too. And I just have learned over time that rest is not, it's not like a gift that you give yourself at the end. It is a necessity to functioning every day. So I wanted to integrate the two, and I wanted to create a space where we could educate our community too. Yeah. So I'm really, really excited about having that all in one roof.
That sounds so exciting. Yeah. And I didn't even realize the extent that this was going to be and how cool this was going to be. Do you think that you had a clear vision on how you wanted this flagship store to go? Has the vision evolved and changed as you've been designing and figuring it out?
Yeah, definitely. I change my mind like every 5 seconds. Yeah. So I'll be in the space of like, yes, this is the floor plan, and then I'll change it, or I'll see an idea out there and I'm like, oh, how do we do that? How do we do that? But no, ultimately it's pretty set now, but we are keeping it flexible. So the space that you can do breath work and things like that will also be available for events and education nights, community meetups, things like that, so that, we can continue to evolve and change if we want, and nothing's too fixed, but very passionate about that space and exposing our community to it.
What were some of the non-negotiables that you had on your list when working with people to design and plan this space?
Oh, there's lots. Yeah. Every detail has to be well thought out. It's not just your average strip shop. Every single detail, the lighting, the change rooms, the scent, the sound. Yeah, every piece of furniture is probably custom made. We're looking at sourcing items from local Melbourne designers. Yeah. Where possible, collaborating with other female business owners. So every single touch point in this space will be considered, and I look forward to telling those stories on our social media and to people in store as well.
And I'm so interested now in learning that your mum was an interior designer, how that's taken place into the process of designing this store.
Yeah, funnily enough, she hasn't really been around for this one. I think we're so similar that if she tried to help me, I'd probably push back anyway. So she's like, no, this is for you. But she's incredible, and I definitely owe a lot of my taste and design knowledge to her. Yeah. She actually more recently has become a qualified breathwork teacher too. So you might even be able to come and do a breathwork class with her in that space, which would be super cool.
That's so cool that you can work together, and you've also taken your learnings from her growing up, and with interior design and getting to put that into your flagship store now is so exciting. What has been the hardest part of bringing the flagship to life?
We're in the middle of it right now, so that might be to come. Yeah. But probably for me, again, this like little imposter syndrome on my back, being like, this is a really big project. This is probably one of the biggest projects I've ever done. I've done lots of big projects, and the business really is quite big, but this feels like the ultimate expression of myself and my values in a space. And we're competing with places, well, not competing, but we're providing a space like a St. Haven, or the Commons is about to do something like this. So I think I just need to keep reminding myself and believing in myself that what I'm creating is true to my values and in alignment with who I am. Yeah. And that will
And it's got
resonate.
Its own value with all things golden as well. And
I think
that
so
whole
too.
side of things.
Yeah. I hope people come in and just have a really amazing experience. Like it'll be fun.
It's going to be so fun. Obviously, you're currently in the middle of it, so it'll probably be a no, but do you ever see yourself building more spaces like this than just this flagship store in the future?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Yeah. In previous years, obviously with COVID and things like that, a bricks and mortar retail strategy was not going to be a good idea, but hopefully we're out of that zone. Yeah. And I think this one will be a good test to see whether or not we want to replicate this in other states or other countries maybe too. Yeah. Could be cool. But like I said, sustainable growth, one thing at a time.
Yeah, one thing at a time, especially while you're in the middle of it and you're going through the ups and downs of creating this beautiful space.
And when you want to make it as detail-oriented as I do, there's not usually space for more than one.
Yes, definitely. Maybe one day in the future though. Yeah. We've spoken a lot about leadership and hiring and your team, you've obviously grown from a one-woman show to now a team of 25. That is a lot of energy and responsibility in how you show up day to day for your team and for your company. What kind of leader did you think you were going to be, and how does it compare to the leader you have become?
I never really saw myself as a leader. So I honestly just did everything that naturally felt right to me.
Yeah.
I have come a long way though, because it is a big responsibility employing people, and I take that really seriously, and not just from a financial perspective, but emotionally and energetically, for them to be spending that much of their life there. I do take on a lot of that responsibility. I want to make sure that they feel safe, they feel valued, they feel seen, they're learning. So I have definitely invested a lot more in myself, and I feel like the best way to lead and the most influential you can possibly be is when you're standing in your most authentic power.
Yeah.
So leading by example, not trying to control or people please. And don't get me wrong, I feel like I've definitely had those tendencies over time, and it takes one part to identify those and the next part to work through them.
Yeah.
But I definitely have invested a lot personally in becoming the best leader that I can be. And that's been using professional business mentors, but a lot of personal development as well. So I'm always doing one sort of mentorship at one point in time.
Yeah.
My first one was like a very traditional business mentorship, and that was what I needed at that point in time to help me hire the right people and infrastructure in my business.
Yeah.
And then the next one was kind of like a hybrid personal business. And then the one that I'm doing now is purely personal, just to continue investing back in myself so that I can live the best life that I possibly can.
Be the best leader you can.
Yeah, and hope that those learnings transcend throughout the people that I interact with too.
Looking back, do you think your leadership style has surprised you at all?
I don't know if I would say surprised, but I shared a quote the other day, and it basically says that your business is a mirror. So it really holds the mirror up to you. If you're self-conscious, if you don't like conflict or confrontation, your business will let you know. If you're people-pleasing, it will let you know. So you pretty quickly learn things on the go.
Yeah.
And having not had a full-time job or experience, I guess, in any kind of business at that level, I really just was leading in the way that felt right to me. But through that process, I've identified leadership traits that I know I need to work on to be a better leader. And when it's your own business and your baby, it's really hard to remove that emotional side. But once you get to a certain size, that just gets in the way. You have to have boundaries. Otherwise, you don't cope personally. You go home, you take everything home, you're dreaming, work, everything.
You can't get away.
You can't get away from it. So I've had to learn a lot about that. Yeah. And I've taken that pretty seriously over the last 6 months, especially.
Incredible. We've spoken a lot about imposter syndrome. Did you ever get imposter syndrome when you were hiring and when you started leading a small team or a team of 25 people?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Some things come comfortably and naturally to people and others don't. And you're dealing with lots of different people and personalities and people with different needs too. And I definitely have learned over time that expectation setting is the most key and crucial thing you can ever do in a business when you're hiring. And I think at the beginning I was just so excited to have people and I wanted people's help. You'd sell them the dream.
Yes.
And then if those expectations weren't met, then that's when the disconnect arrives. Yeah. So I've definitely tried more now to get more comfortable with being honest, like brutally honest with people. And sometimes that's hard because it might be disappointing. But the kindest you can ever be is telling the truth. Yeah. So that's been a learning curve for me.
Yeah. How do you balance your creative brain with the business brain? And do you find that they ever clash?
Oh, yeah. It's the ultimate challenge. Yep. I can switch between the two, but that's not efficient. So it's only been more recently that I've actually implemented tools to help with this. I did a really amazing mentorship around the neuroscience of flow states, and I feel like that information is so cool and interesting and everybody should learn about it, because you might think you're being efficient task switching and doing a million things in a day, but if you actually did synergistic tasks in set time frames. Like you did all your creative work in this time frame and then you did all of your kind of operational strategic work in this time frame, your output is way greater.
Yeah.
Even though you probably don't feel as productive. Like we feel super productive when we're, you know, bouncing around and doing a million things. So I've been challenging that and putting things in place. We have a day at work on Thursdays called Focus Days. The entire workplace gets to work from home and there's no meetings, no contact. So high trust in everyone doing the right thing. And we send out little cues of flow state triggers basically. So you set yourself up in a clean space. You might put music on. You might have a favorite scent. And those days are for deep, focused work. And you can't get distracted. You have to turn off all your notifications because even if you see one little pop-up in the top right corner, it takes your brain, I think, 15 minutes to
lock back in,
concentrate on what you're doing when you get those little distractions. And we're in a highly distracting, fast-paced world. So, I think learning about that from people that really understand it and then implementing the tools, it's, super interesting. So I have creative days and I have strategic days.
And I think even things like when you invested in the Luxe Room, your creative and business brain probably were crashing immensely during that.
They do, and it is difficult. I can't look at anything with one lens anymore. I'm thinking when I'm designing something, I'm not only thinking about the garment and how it fits, but I'm also thinking about the marketing campaign and the profit at the end of the day. So, and, you know, the cycle of everything. I'm thinking about the 12-month lifespan of something. So it's really cool to be able to do that, but it also means at one point in time you have to give away lots of bits of the puzzle to the people that have the time to dedicate themselves to the details. You can't do it all.
Has your definition of success changed from your first days when you had $20,000 to where you're at now?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd ever even really identified what success meant to me early on. I was just having a good time.
You were just having a go.
Yeah. I was like, how cool is this? Let's go. Now, and for as long as I have articulated what success means to me, I don't think it's changed. I define success as a regulated nervous system, for one, most importantly.
Yeah.
Doing what you love, feeling like you're evolving and having fun and making a meaningful impact with others. Yeah. So I don't think our business has ever really defined success via like monetary value. Yeah. I think when you're living in alignment with your values and doing what you love, that will come anyway.
Yeah. Moving over to the online side of business and the social media side, you said you started as a fashion blog, posting what you liked posting and then posting about the growth of the brand. You've seen the social media and the influencer space really evolve as someone who built a brand in the golden era of Instagram, where it was easy to build and easy to make a brand identity and make a breakthrough online, and to now working with influencers on influencer campaigns, getting the content, sending the PR packages. That gives you a really unique perspective on seeing both sides of that. And you've grown All Things Golden with a really consistent online presence and relationship with growing up online through your brand. How did you go about showing up online and being the face of the brand for so long to then transitioning to influencer marketing?
Yeah, well, I actually don't think I ever really put my face out there early days, which is funny.
Yeah.
I was notorious for like a phone covering the face selfie. Yeah. That was about as far as I'd go, whereas I've become a little bit more comfortable with putting myself out there now. Again, when I grew up with phones, like selfies weren't even really a thing.
Yeah.
Like you're probably like, huh, what? Like, so we still feel kind of weird like taking a selfie, but, you know, times change and you have to evolve and you get more comfortable with things the more you do them. But, yeah, it's an ever-changing world and it's so quick
All
too.
Things Golden really went through all the stages of social media.
Yeah, you're right. I suppose we did. Like Instagram, TikTok didn't exist when we first began. Instagram, was free. The algorithm, we used to get thousands of likes on a photo. Now, you know, we struggle to get to a couple of hundred. It's just how it works.
Not heard of.
Yeah. TikTok's probably been the biggest challenge for me because it is a totally different way of creating content, and Instagram is all about like curated perfection.
Yes.
You know, so it was really hard to switch to that. And And I don't think we've nailed it still, but I think what's really cool is that there's a younger generation who have just grown up with it and just get it. And it's really exciting for them because so many job opportunities have come up for them.
Definitely.
And it's all about being authentic and, stripping away the mask and just showing up, which I do really love. But it is a challenge. And there's a challenge of how much should you share about you and your business. There's a lot of new brands that share everything, which I think is super cool, but it also opens you up to criticism too, and that's scary.
And the noise you were talking about as well.
Exactly, yeah. So I think you just have to kind of take your time to understand how you want to use each platform and how it feels true to you. Yeah.
Like you said, you started with the curated Instagram feeds and now there's the whole TikTok chaos, post whatever you want spontaneously. What has been the biggest shift you've noticed with how people engage with brands online?
Yeah, I think in a really positive lens, people want to see real content, which is great. You don't have to edit it as much. They want real-time content.
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's super cool. So, now if you post something curated, it doesn't get the views, it doesn't get the likes. Like they want to see real people. You can film a reel and you can upload the reel, or you can upload the BTS of the making of the reel, and the BTS will do better. Yeah. And I think it's really cool because it means that you get to talk about your journey, you get to talk about the people behind the business and the brand, and we're still trying to find our tolerance level and like how much we want to expose. But, here I am sitting doing a podcast talking about my story, so why not?
And I think people really love an origin story and they really love knowing the backstory behind the brand. And I think people will love to learn about your history and your family and that crazy story of how it was all connected. And I think that itself is such a cool story, and I'm still stuck on that from the beginning of the podcast. But I think people really love seeing the growth of a brand. So I think the balance between what matches the values of all things golden and what you're posting online, and also the evolution of social media, is a really hard thing to balance and keep in mind when you are going through the eras of social media, especially coming from the very, very curated times of Instagram.
Yeah, you've just got to be an early adopter, and I wasn't with TikTok. I was really I would resist it at the beginning.
And so many people did.
Yeah.
So many people refused to download TikTok.
But you just got to be open to everything, and you've got to embrace change ultimately. Yeah.
I think we've really learned from this interview that all things golden looks so seamless and so perfect and curated from the outside. Your Instagram feed is beautiful, but you're also sharing the side of, you've shared talking about the flagship now, and all things golden looks very, very perfect. So I want to get into a little bit of the entrepreneur side and the struggles and mentally, emotionally, financially, some of the things that maybe people wouldn't think of about running a business. So what's one thing that people totally misunderstand about running a brand like All Things Golden in particular?
Yeah, I guess if you've ever listened to any founder talk, they'll talk about the struggles of balancing. I think most entrepreneurs, when they start a business, it's because they're passionate about something. It's a passion project, and trying to learn self-boundaries when you're so excited about something and all you want to do is do that, and you think, eat, sleep, that. How do you do that and then have a life too?
Yeah.
How do you separate your identity from your business?
When you love something so much.
When you love it so much and you've built it from the ground up, you're so invested. And businesses go through seasons with the economy. Things happen all the time. We've been really badly impacted by the US tariffs. Half of our business, which you might not know, is to the US. So we're, equally as big in the US as we are in Australia. And overnight, they were hit with 145% tariffs on our goods.
Yeah.
So that was half of our business compromised overnight. And you really have to get okay with the fact that things might look completely different the next day. You just have to accept that you're here for the ride and you better enjoy it, because anything can change at any point in time. Sure, you can build contingencies. You can have a buffer in your bank balance. All these things I do anyway. I'm pretty risk adverse.
Yep.
I love this business. I want it to last. But you really have to accept that anything can happen. And I actually listened to Julia.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly. I listened to Julia Gillard speak at a women's leadership event the other day, and she said that in politics, everything is crisis mode when really everything is just another problem to fix. So she would try her best not to get caught up in crisis mode. And it's the same. Like things probably do feel like a crisis because it's your life, it's your livelihood, it's your team. But ultimately you just all have to do your best, and that's all that you can ask for.
Yeah. The word burnout is a really big word thrown around in owning a business and through founders. What does that look like for you, and how have you dealt with it in the past?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I've definitely danced with burnout.
Yep.
So the definition of burnout really is just prolonged stress, the effects of prolonged stress. But stress can look really different. It can come in so many different shapes and forms. It's not necessarily just like sometimes you can't actually see it.
Yeah.
And for me, I would function at a really high level and get energy from that. If I'm doing the stuff I love, the energy would come back. So you wouldn't think that that equals burnout. But what I wasn't acknowledging personally was this whole idea of rest. So rest is a critical part of the flow state cycle. Without it, you can't keep moving forward. Like you exercise, you get sore, you rest.
You have to rest.
Why do we not give our brain the same treatment?
Yes.
And we feel guilty about resting our brain, especially with social media and things like and technology. Like there's always something to do and something to stimulate our mind. Yeah. So burnout for me was very, very real. I have been very close to bad burnout a few times. Thankfully, not as bad as I've heard of other founders. Some people needing to take like 6 months off at a time, not able to function for themselves, their families. It's really, really dangerous.
And it's easy to get caught up.
It really is. It really is. So I think for me it was identifying like what was causing the burnout. It's one thing to burn out and then take some time off and get back to it, but then you just repeat the same old toxic cycle again. And for me, there was definitely this unwarranted belief that I didn't deserve downtime and I would feel guilt. I felt like if my team was working till 5 or 6 that day, I had to be sitting there next to them for every single piece. Otherwise, I would feel guilty that they were staying back and I wasn't, even though I'd probably put in thousands of hours. You know, you would need to justify it. Even recently, I'm going away for 3 weeks for a holiday, which is like a really big thing for me. And I found myself over-explaining, oh, you know, I don't really take holidays often and I'm going to take like 1 week where no one contacts me because, you know, for this reason. Like you don't need to prove it to yourself.
And they understand.
They do.
They don't think twice about it, but it's you.
It's you. Yeah, all the negative self-talk comes from you, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
And ultimately I realized you don't like deserve rest. You need it.
Yeah.
You're worthy of whatever you need.
Yeah.
Even if that's not working for 6 months, like that's just what you need. And that's a really challenging mindset when you're used to being busy and productive all the time. And especially for women too, thinking about work and family too, that's a whole other topic. But how do I still do all these things but then also be a mum, which requires so much time and energy as well?
Yeah, definitely. It's such a big loophole and word and experience that so many people go through.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to know, do you ever struggle with comparison in this industry with the TikTok era going on? Brands are blowing up overnight and selling out and in their first drop and their first launch. Do you ever struggle with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think, comparison is the thief of joy. And it's really easy to doom scroll. But
so easy.
I think what I try to do now is be intentional with my scroll time. And I'm not going there just to feel shit about myself. I'm going and I'm like, oh, how cool is that they've done that? Oh, that's a great idea. How could we do that for our business? But you also kind of have to make sure that you're on a good headspace before you even start that. So looking after your mental health is part one, so that these platforms, which really are designed to suck you in, don't just take you from low to worse.
Yeah.
And being able to put the phone down.
Using it as a positive platform, inspiration.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, and boundaries.
It's so easy to get caught.
Yeah.
I do it every single morning when I wake up and I'm like, I'll go for 5 minutes and then it's half an hour later.
Exactly. And I mean, I could go on about all the reasons why that's not good for your brain as well, because like we're talking about morning rituals, when you start your day, that sets the tone for the rest of your day. And we can't help but pick up our phones and scroll, and already
it's almost an anxiety thing, like needing to know what happened when you were asleep.
FOMO, the works. This flow state mentorship that I did was super interesting. I actually have my phone on do not disturb at all times now. So the only people that can get through to me are people in my favorites. If they call, it comes through, which means that if I want to check notifications, I have to actively go and check my notifications. So I have like set times where I do that, because I think for burnout as well, it's that feeling like you're constantly needed or accessible. So you feel like even if you were sleeping, like you need to be on high alert, and that equals zero boundaries, and it's really not good for anyone. So boundaries with the phone is a really big one for me.
It's something that I'm definitely working through and struggling with, because I do find when I'm sleeping, I still feel anxious in my sleep. I'm waking up like 3 to 4 times every night, feeling the need to check my phone. What if I've accidentally posted something or if I've missed a really important message? So I think it's something that a lot of people need to work on and are working on. And I think all of your points are so valid in that space.
Come and do a breathwork class at our studio.
I need to.
And then don't look at your phone after and go straight to bed. If you tracked the quality of your sleep, you'd be blown away. And sleep is literally the most important function of our entire body. So regulating your nervous system and your brain before you go to bed is completely game changing. And once you do it, you get addicted and you don't want to look at your phone anymore.
Liv, this has been such an incredible conversation. I feel like I've learned so much, not just about you, but the way you run your business and different ways of thinking for questions that I would have thought completely different to your answer. So thank you so much for that. We've talked about the highs and lows, the journey of your warehouses, flagships, and I think it's been great for your audience to learn more about you and things that they probably didn't know. Before we wrap, I've got 2 more final questions for you, and I think some of my favorite questions that I ask people. If you could go back and give 23-year-old Liv with $20,000 and a big dream a piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, don't be so hard on yourself. You're your own worst enemy, and you are the harshest critic in the whole room.
Love that. Standing where you are right now, what is next? Not just for All Things Golden, but for you personally as a creative and a leader and a woman in business.
Amazing question. I've dedicated the last 10 years of my life to this incredible business. I absolutely love it. But I'm also really ready to start investing a little bit more back into my personal life, whether that maybe is motherhood. I don't know. There's a big question mark for me around how, as a sole female founder, you do that. At the same time.
Without burnout.
Correct. And I know that equals support around you, and, maybe even a CEO, so relinquishing more control, but I'm getting good at that. Over time you get better. But that's definitely the next step for me, is how do I balance having more of a personal life whilst maintaining the love and passion and energy that goes into ATG and that I've put in for the last 10 years, without letting that dip and continuing to evolve the business.
Definitely.
Thank
you so much for being here and being so open and telling us your entire story and all the things you've learned over the years. I've had such an incredible time. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And all of your questions were amazing. Thank you so much.